Hi everyone. Canada and Newfoundland in particular are headed for total and utter destruction. Like, you have to ask, how is this epidemic of drugs and crime and addiction still coming at us like a mass tidal wave? Like, it's decimating everything in its path. And things are just getting worse, much worse. Like, we're all sitting here asking ourselves the question, how is this happening? Why haven't we stopped it by now? There's bedlam everywhere. So yeah, why? In my experience, 33 years in business, when something keeps happening that shouldn't, it's because, if it's causing harm or causing destruction, it's because some people at some level in the system are benefiting from keeping it that way. So let's ask the real question. Who's getting rich, keeping their jobs, getting contracts, out of keeping people addicted? Because whoever it is, those people need to be dealt with, because the outcome of keeping people addicted, the random attacks, business break-ins, people dying right before our eyes on the streets, overdoses at record levels here in Newfoundland and across Canada. Like, Canada has become an opioid epicenter for the whole entire world. 50,000 Canadians are dead in this drug graveyard of a country that we now live in. It's ridiculous. Provinces are crumbling under the weight of the drug crisis, the health costs, the housing costs. Kids are getting addicted to government-provided hydromorphone in schools on the west coast of Canada. Playgrounds all over Canada are full of needles. People who are deeply addicted in psychosis are destroying homes, burning down homes, stabbing their parents, setting fires to other properties. Like, these are so dangerous. Somehow we're still letting all of this happen, and people are making mega money off this addiction crisis. So how? Here's one example of how people are making money and love the idea of keeping people addicted. They set up a shelter, and it sounds great. They keep people off the streets for the night. The government pays them $120, $150 per person per night. So you have a shelter with 40 people in it, and they stay overnight. That's $6,000 that they made that night in that shelter, or that hotel, or that facility. That's $180,000 a month. Now, I don't know any other business that's making that kind of money. And then they build another shelter and another shelter. And it's in their best interest to keep people addicted, because it's endless cash. These shelters have no oversight, no accountability, no goal of getting people back to health. Quite the opposite. If you suggest that they should have sober living, then, like us at Guardians, you're accused of forcing people into care, which is absolutely ridiculous and highly manipulative. This money scheme is way too lucrative for people to change it, the people that are in it, yet we're all paying the price. So all these so-called do-gooder organizations with low barrier shelters, what they're actually doing is making money for their shelter, and they have zero plan for recovery. Now, I'm not saying that every single low barrier shelter is bad or wrong, but what I am saying is that if they do not have a plan to reduce the number of people and offer sober solutions, then they are a factory for addiction enabling. If they don't have oversight with measurable, tangible results that say, hey, we helped 300 people this year get back on their feet, not sleep in a bed that made us more money, but actually we helped them focus on sobriety, focus on recovery, gain skills, get a job, get out of their own rat race. That would be the goal. And if they can't do that, then they're actually the problem. And you can see that they're getting more funding and expanding. So there you have it. That's the primary reason why we are where we are. Add to that pharmacies who are getting rich and research companies who are saying all these drugs are a good idea, and then all of the consultants who are getting paid to say that harm reduction and low barrier shelters are the way to go because it's your constitutional right. Well, I'm calling BS on that. Where's the place for people who want to get sober? Where is it that they go? And how come we don't see those around? Why is it that 95% of the government housing and healthcare budget right now are going to keep these drug enabling facilities going? Like, I truly believe 20 years from now, we're going to look back and ask, how did we let this happen? How did we get duped into that kind of a formula? We've been trying to make change. God knows, for 8 years, I have been working on trying to save my son, and after he died, to help other parents. Police channels, legal routes, government routes. We've gone to every route, but it's not working. It's not working in BC, not in Ontario, and certainly not in Newfoundland. So why? How can that be? Besides people, profiting, we have a system set up that ensures they keep profiting. And it's all perfectly designed, very precisely to keep it all going. People are making so much money on housing, on drug supplies, and the street drug market that if we interfered, it would stop all of that. So let me break it down. Just look at the 3 highly manipulative scams that are going on right now. The privacy law. The privacy law was a law that was instated to it wasn't created to kill people. It was created to protect private information, but it's been manipulated. Privacy laws were, in protecting that information would help people in their own, health. But it's wrong at every level, because right now the privacy law is being weaponized to keep families out of the picture and out of the care of people who are addicted. So they're just being left alone to die in a system, in low barrier shelter systems, where we're having like 2 to 3 overdoses a day in Newfoundland and Labrador. So the privacy law is keeping it going. And then, of course, human rights. Well, this has been twisted into a tool that ensures that addicts don't get help as well, because we're told that it's not compassionate, it's not of human rights to intervene and help someone, that it's respecting human rights, letting someone in psychosis or with a life-threatening illness to refuse care. Well, that's wrong, because let's be honest, when someone has no capacity to make a life-saving decision and we let them die anyway, which is what's happening, overdoses every day, that's not human rights. That's abandonment, that's manipulation for your own agenda, and it's unethical. Think about it. Like today, I'm going to give you a clean needle, but if that could be the very needle that you overdose and die with. It doesn't make sense. So how do those people live with themselves, knowing that they're handing out the materials and, the things that could kill them? Harm reduction. They call it harm reduction, but it's not. It's harm production, harm normalization, harm funding, because they hand out free drugs and free drug use paraphernalia like crack pipes and needles, and they build shelters for drug use and call that compassion, but it's actually a money-making paradise with your taxpayers' money. That's insane. Meanwhile, overdoses keep rising, crime keeps rising, and the system keeps funding itself. Why? You're starting to get the picture. It's kind of architected this way. It is this way because it's designed to be this way. And so when people like me come along and challenge the system, they make me wrong. It's unethical for people who are profiting over the addiction crisis, because that's not recovery. It's about keeping people in a cycle of addiction, keeping them in that cycle, because addiction is big business, especially when it's taxpayer funded. So we've been indoctrinated into believing that real compassion means standing back, watching people die quietly, out of sight, and that's happened to 50,000 of our people in Canada, our kids, our family members, our friends. It's totally unacceptable. This is not compassion. This is cowardice. This is manipulation. This is twisting the truth. Because today the drugs are so powerful and so addictive that virtually anybody who gets involved with them is going down. So if someone has no capacity whatsoever to choose life, then we have a duty to step in and help them, not because we're cruel, because we actually care. And twisting that around is highly manipulative. So Canada's not going to survive if we don't face what's actually going on. Not as provinces, not as communities, not as families. You know it, and I know it. We're seeing the fallout all around us. It's nonstop every single day, and it's getting exponentially worse. So if we don't pull back the curtain, expose the truth about what's going on, we're going to lose a whole generation of our youth. We already have. Illicit drugs is one of the leading causes of death in our youth across Canada. That alone is enough to make families say, we're not doing this anymore with taxpayers' money. We're all sitting around twiddling our thumbs while we're being duped by the biggest drug scam in history, paid for by yours truly, you and me, our tax dollars. It's time to save our kids. It's time to step up. It's time to talk about the insanity, what's actually going on. It's time for a change. I'm Tina Olivero, founder of Guardians of Recovery. We have to start building a nation where all roads lead to recovery. I'm not making money on this. I have volunteered my time for 2 years to fix this situation. It's time for all of us to get together and adopt a recovery model in every single shelter. They should not have our tax dollars unless sober recovery is part of the solution. That's it. Over and out.